Hello, welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the books I've been reading over January. And this first one, European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewomen by Theodora Goss, is actually one I started in December and decided to treat it as sort of a bedtime book, or a book when I just really couldn't settle to other things. And I was reading a couple of books for my book club's lore, which I haven't talked about yet because we meet tomorrow. And the other one was 1,000 Ships. And I found both those books really very similar and both equally annoying. So I would read this book in between. So it was kind of my rice pudding book, if you like. I think for that reason I like it better than if I had done a concentrated read, because other people's reviews was that this was very slow going, and that is true. But by having broken it up into just partial chapters and so forth, it was like it was deliberately slow on my part. It was a great rice pudding book, but I actually not sure I love it, because the main character, Mary Jekyll, who, if you've read this book in the previous, you know that she's the daughter of Dr. Jekyll, and all the characters in here are the daughters of folks like Dr. Moreau or Frankenstein, and the other one's Mr. Hyde, I guess, and a couple of others. And so we're not learning terribly much new about Mary and her, the Athena Club, they're called. And I think that we spent a lot more time with them, but I didn't feel like anything new was really revealed. We got to know their backstories a little bit more, but I think that we had already been so thoroughly introduced to these women in the first book that it just helped us to remember more than anything. The women are on a quest to rescue Lucinda van Helsing, and her father is experimenting with vampiric blood. But we meet Lucinda, I guess, in the opening chapter, and then we don't see her for another 200 and some odd pages. We don't really know like what's her issue. Why are these? We know why these women are going to Budapest and Vienna to rescue her, because Mina Williams, I think it was Williams, was Mary Jekyll's governess, and she has sent a letter to Mary and saying, please go rescue this girl. She used to be one of my students and she's gone missing. So there's a whole little snarl of information that's not revealed to the readers for a long time. And Mary is having questions about her. She's having self-doubt. She's really, I don't know, she's just really having an existentialist crisis through most of the book. The others, I think, are coming to terms more with who they are and what they're capable of and what they can contribute to the Athena Club. But the two main dramatic moments are not handled by Mary, and she's more or less just along for the ride. She hasn't even done a ton of the planning, which is what her forte is supposed to be. And in the first crazy adventure, Diana is the main protagonist in a rescuing situation. And yes, we kind of see what's happening in order for this rescue to take place, but it's not very well developed. It hits the check marks, but I don't know. We didn't see Diana for so long, and then all of a sudden she's rescuing, and then all of a sudden she's gone again. And one of the ways, and I would say that's true in the second rescue as well, it's just so much time is spent building up to these rescues, and yet over and over again, I'll tell you later, I'll tell you after breakfast, I'll tell you after your bath, I'm going to tell you that when we finish running away from these vampires. It's just, we're waiting an awful lot. and we're waiting on trains, we're waiting in train stations, we're waiting in castle prisons, and so it's just, there's a lot of waiting, and there's not a lot of action by Mary. And Diana, who is the key, what's that word? She's like the kingpin, I guess, in a way, in rescuing and solving and protecting, and yet we don't really get her point of view at all. I would say that I was pretty thoroughly disappointed by Mary's character, and I was pretty thoroughly disappointed by the pacing and the development of the adventures. There, like the action points in contrast to the non-action point, it was like an 80-20 split, and yeah, it's supposed to be sort of an adventure story, and I didn't really feel that. I think that, as I say, the other characters, Beatrice and Justine and Catherine in particular, really develop their characters a lot more and are having to come to terms with what it's like to be a poisonous woman and possibly be falling in love. You know, these kinds of things were much better handled. So I think I'm only going to give this book a 3. I'm not sure I'm going to pursue it. I'm going to wait for braver souls to tread that water and give a few reviews before I go after book 3. I'm making an assumption that there's a book 3 because Lucinda is off page. She's gone off to a castle to be properly vampirized, and who managed to escape? Someone critical managed to escape, as well as we come across Isis, who is the female president of the Society des Alchemists, and she's quite a trigger point. Oh, also there's a young girl who at the last minute we discover is a mesmerizer, and has been, yeah, now it's just one of those things where it's revealed too late. And so, yes, although I know there's a mesmerizing girl coming in the next book, I'm not sure I'm that interested. So I'm going to give it a 3 because, as I say, it suited what it needed to do at the time. On the complete other end of the spectrum, we have this book by Cressida Cowell, The Wizards of Once. And this is by the same author who did How to Train Your Dragon. And this was done in 2017, and it is part book and part really, really crazy illustrations. Like, nobody's really beautiful in here. Everybody's kind of gawky and icky, and yeah, it's definitely, yeah, I think this is definitely a boys book. It doesn't have any boogers like How to Train Your Dragon did, but we've got Czar, who is a young boy has turned 13, and his magic hasn't come in. It's called an older brother lottery, who's older, 17-ish, whose magic has come in. Their dad is the king of the wizards. He's the grand enchanter. And then on the other side, we've got Wish, who is the daughter of a very, very strict, icy queen. And these are the warriors, and they are in a fort that's made of iron. And so Wish has snuck out of the fortress, and Czar has snuck away from the wizard encampment, and they're both on the hunt for something, thinking maybe a witch, and you know, bing bang boom, there's all kinds of craziness. A giant gets involved, and there's sprites and magical animals, and it's a really good rip snorting kind of adventure, tearing through the woods, using a door as a magic carpet, just all kinds of really great imagination going on. Great tension between Wish and Czar. Czar is completely self-absorbed, and Wish is sort of, she's not as self-absorbed in the sense that, oh me, oh me, oh me. It's more like, oh, woe is me, because she has almost no self-confidence. And so, of course, they two are butting heads, and they're butting magic against non-magic. And I should have mentioned that the warriors are trying to kill off all the wizards because magic is bad. And behind all of this is the potential for witches to reemerge. They have been expelled from the lands, and everybody thinks that they're extinct, but are they? So that's the question that we're kind of meeting all the way along. That seems a bit weird. Was that a witch? So there's a lot of great action in this one. The characters are who they are. There's almost very little character development. I mean, once they've reached their crisis points and so on, we get some kind of growth, but I'm not going to tell you what. The parents involved, the enchanter and the queen, have got some kind of introspection that they need to do. And the great giant is kind of, he's a slow thinker, so he doesn't really ever notice there's an opportunity for introspection, although he's the most introspective of the group. I loved this book. I totally loved it. It's a 4.5 out of 5 for me. And I think the only reason I give it not a full 5 is I don't even really have a good reason for it. Actually, to tell you the truth, there's no reason I shouldn't give this a 5. I was thinking maybe it had to do with the artwork, and then I thought, no, if I was a boy and a reluctant reader, on top of that, this would be great for reluctant boy readers. This is the kind of zany, unpretty art that would attract me. It's just kind of chaotic and has creepy where creepy needs to be. So I think really in the end, I'm wrong about the art. So 5 out of 5 for me, and I will probably trot off and get book 2. All right, the third one is Ben Aaronovich's Rivers of London, which is being or has been discussed in a few other booktube places. When was this done? This was, come on. Oh, it's so small. It's such a small printing. 2011. There are other books in this series. This is about a detective who's discovering that there's magic in the world of London, England, and ghosts, and the first witness to a murder is a ghost. So his superior, he's just a young policeman, he's only been on the force about 2 years, so when he says to his superiors that, I've got an eyewitness, but it's a ghost, a sort of a different train rolls into the station, let's say, and so our detective is Peter Grant, and he ends up coming to be an apprentice to a wizard who there is a recognition at the higher ups that yes, magic does exist in London, and there is a need for policing that section as well. So I liked it. It was really good. I thought the different specters, the different ghosts, or the gods, or the goddesses, or and I'm not talking Zeus and Athena and all that. There's Mother Thames and Father Thames, and they're quite different. An unusual pair of gods and goddesses. I think there were a lot of really interesting characters in this. I thought the pacing was really good. I thought the protagonist's insights into what was happening around him, as well as his complete oblivion to things that were happening around him, was really nice, nicely chopping against each other. So there was a lot of good tension. And then his main sidekick, oh my gosh, what was her name? Started with Lucinda? No. Leslie. She is on a slightly different career path, and so they kind of butt up against each other as well. So our protagonist is black, and so there's some pretty funny issues around color and cultural clashes and just that sort of things that's done very tongue-in-cheek. So we're encountering some good sense of humor around some of the conflicts that a very good-looking black cop might encounter. So totally recommend this. What would I say? I'm going to say 4 out of 5. And the only other thing I have to report is I'm about halfway through the month, and I just have this little bit of reading to go. So I'm pretty much on track for January. Yabba dabba doo. So that's it for me. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.